Hello and welcome to another episode of the Amusing Panda live stream, where we're here all to talk about War Machine and Hordes. Today we're going to be building my list pairs, and so we're going to go deep in the jank tank and talk about a lot of really, really fun ideas that I have for my list pairs. And hopefully, we have some guests that are going to keep me on the straight and narrow, and maybe keep me from getting a little too weird. So let me introduce our guests. As always, we have the one and only Alex Cosma. And we also have Chris joining us again from Boost to Hit. Hello, Chris.
Hey,
hello, Alex. How we doing, guys?
Doing good. Off hopefully my last sequential week of traveling. So,
oh, man, traveling is the best.
What's up, but Jeff? It runs you down.
How you doing, dude?
Hey, we got Jeff again.
Yeah, Jeff's our guy. All right. Well, this week, like I said, we're going to be talking about Dusk Lists. I'm going to get a little weird. I have some theory craft I want to go through with you guys and figure out where we're at. But first, let's do news and announcements. The only thing I really want to talk about this week was there was a whole bunch of Umbre rules releases that were downloaded into the app. How to beat Dusk. You beat Dusk just by showing up, from what I understand, right? Like the worst faction.
Just roll dice, you'll win.
Just roll dice, you'll win. Just show up. Or against me, just put a chess clock in front of me. You're pretty much guaranteed to win. Also, pretty much guaranteed to make every round go the full amount of time. It'll annoy your TOs like Chris. All right, so let's bring this up. How about something like this? So I've got the app up here, and I thought we'd start with talking about Maxim, who is the first warcaster. Seems like a pretty decent caster. I kind of like him. I don't know. Do you guys have any first impressions on Maxim before we get into it too much?
He is immensely exciting. Field Marshal Gang Fighter is a hell of an ability. Also a feat that turns off enemy charges. He has the option to switch into recursion. And some pretty good battle plans too. He's the versatile generalist caster that neither Lesnoy nor Galeno were right out of the box.
I think he runs their troops really well, which means by default he's going to run their the solos, the werewolves pretty well too. One of the things I wanted to point out was battle formation is quite strong, giving +2 armor across the board to all your troopers as long as they're base to base with cohort models. The new, what are they called? Liege Wardens or whatever they're. Did I get that right?
The Liegeman
Wardens. Yeah. They're 12-16, so they go to armor 18, and they have unyielding, so they go to armor 20. You start getting to armor 20 is when you start getting into the annoyance factor, right? Like that's pretty good. Some other things, I think Gang Fighter is a great thing to highlight. It is so powerful. So obviously he's going to be running troops and or war beasts. Warrior models get +2 speed during their charge. So again, he's going to deliver the models by giving them +2 armor and then give them +2 to their charge range, which is going to get them places, which I think is good. And then, as Alex has mentioned, Revive is a very, very good with warrior models, bringing them back, particularly with the sheep. I think reviving sheep, which we'll talk about in a minute, is going to be super annoying. And then he's got Arcane Might, which is pretty interesting. It just allows you to spend his focus to boost hit or boost damage, which means if a Lupine Apex gets on your caster, you might die. Like it could definitely happen. Okay. I think he offers a pretty good mixed grouping caster that does a lot for your trooper models. I mean, giving +2 armor to the who are the named guys?
Oh,
the Chosen of the Lich. Yeah. That's also going to be a big deal. Like those things are going to be a real pain. All right. Other new models, we have, let's see, the Star, right? That's the next new model.
Yep.
Chris, have you looked through this model yet?
Heavy.
Oh, I've looked at him. He's great. He's a wonderful little control piece that just kind of has this huge toolbox of rules, and it's balanced out by the fact that he doesn't have the trophy hunter rule that the other primevals have. So his base POW is a little bit higher than theirs, or about the same as theirs, but it's not going to go up beyond that to compensate. But he can do stuff with his corpse tokens, you know. Enemy model suffer -2 melee. Hey, you want to stack that on with that battle formation you're just talking about? How do you like arm 22 Legion Wardens? I think that's a neat number. It keeps going up from here. It's Putrid Decay is an ability that sometimes we don't see it a lot. I think the only other time we've seen it in the game right now is Chum. And it's not used a whole lot. Death's Feast, which allows him to just heal up with corpse tokens. That's super cool. But his stats are solid. Bloodthirst is a great rule. I use that all the time with a lot of models that have it. And when you scroll down, you're going to see some really special things that he's got. His Bite, now his melee's range 1, which ain't great, but it's not bad. And Bite having Starve on it is kind of a super big deal for him. It's melee Stranglehold. So it is a wonderful little control piece in an army that gives you a Warlock that has a reposition 5 feet or a hit and run card. And all of a sudden you now have 2 turns where one of their big hitters didn't do much. Rending Talons are just his melee open fist. It's all magic weapons. He's still got Sacred Ward because he is a primeval base. He's 16 points.
Yep.
He's not bad.
Base POW 18 is also worth noting. That's just really good.
It's the same. All the primevals, like the Bone Sword primevals, are all base POW 18 too. So at range 2 over 1, it's good. But it does, does come with a couple of, I wouldn't say drawbacks. The range 1 is something that you have to pay attention to. And expand his animus, John.
Although having played against a couple of times now against Old Umbre in lists strongly centering primevals, I gotta say, probably their best right-hand weapon, hands down, is the hunting spear.
Oh yeah.
Forget the bone sword. These models don't have damage problems. Giving them a gun with slam potential and a power that's good enough is terrifying.
And a power that's good enough that gets great enough once they start getting corpses, which, as we'll get to in a couple more of these releases, they will. There is no doubt.
It's no longer the +2 to damage is no longer a conditional ability. It's basically guaranteed to be on when it needs to be.
Turn 2. Yes.
The other thing I think is pretty interesting is Hunger Pain applies to undead. Right?
Yeah, it's an
constructs.
everything debuff.
It's
which is
enemy models.
Which is quite powerful because we've seen this in the past, right? I think it's called Mortal Fear, typically, but it only affects living models. So this is quite powerful because there's no drawback.
Fear, it also works on gun, whereas Hunger Pain only works on melee. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there, but
right.
God, it's everything just being worse at fighting you in melee, which is where Old Armory wants to get you in the first place. No, that feels good.
Yeah, the other thing I would point out about Putrid Decay is if you are in a matchup where it matters, like -1 Fury, if you're fighting other war beasts, pretty good. But you put in the scapegoats with it, and suddenly it's very hard to trade heavies with you. It becomes very, very, very difficult.
His Animus is neat too. We've seen Primal Rage on a couple of other models, the Grind Keepers being the most notable ones, and Sea Raiders. Sometimes when you just do damage for them, and this can work on your Warlock too, you do damage, they just go somewhere else. They have to, move towards what damaged them, so it's not free movement, but you get a lot of leeway with a towards movement. So ranged assassinating Bowden, for example, who wasn't behind a wall and suddenly is behind a wall, or you killed all of his guys and then you, on his feet turn, and then you hit him and he suddenly walks towards you into range of more of his guys. There's a lot of combinations for how that can just get done fast.
Yeah, it's essentially ornery, super ornery.
Yeah, I don't care for it that much. I think it's pretty there's a lot of other animuses I'd rather have, but it's there. It's got some corner case uses, and it can be useful. All right, let's talk about the Animist. I think this guy is really, really good.
Yeah, he's your all-purpose support piece. Blood Ritual, probably his most important effect, at least until, armies that are much more focused around shifted start to come into focus. This just lets you load up on corpses. You bring a bunch of liegemen for basically no points, and 2 Animists spend time money laundering corpses through Veroni into your primevals, and your primevals get full stacks all the time.
Seems good. Also, Craft Talisman is sometimes really useful. Corner case, but can be really useful. And then Invoke the Beast is kind of interesting too, because it allows you to put a marked model in play, which allows you to do some shenanigans, right? Like, as long as you don't activate, you can't do things like activate the marked model, walk it forward, and then shift something into play and then have it activate and move. That's shut down in the rules. But what you can do is, put a marked model into play when your opponent's not expecting it, allowing you to shift numbers in your advantage, on a flank or killing something they love. So yeah, I just think the guy's really, really useful for 2 points. And if you have 2 of them, you can put a lot of corpse tokens out there really fast, which is, as we talked about, pretty powerful. All right, let's talk about these lupine guys. So these guys, they come into play on a marked model when a marked model is removed. We'll start with the Apex. He's a 4-point combat solo who's just a monster. He's got Gang Fighter, so he's going to be often Mat 9 and like power 17 or 16. Pretty good. He's got Killing Spree and Jump, so he can get to places. Killing Spree means that he can just Pac-Man through a bunch of your stuff, which is bad. Hey, Ice King, what's up? Yeah, we're going to be talking all about Dusk. I'm excited about it. We'll get there. We're talking about Umbre right now. And then he also grants the shifted models Jump as well. I just think he's really good and really dangerous. He can just do a lot of work for 4 points, and with Jump, he's going to get to places where you don't want him.
Also, your regular lupine shifted are also going to get to places because he gives them Jump too.
Yep, seems strong. He also has 10 boxes and is a 14-17. Also worth noting, he has Unstoppable, which is a big deal for a model like this. A model that can walk 6, jump 5, and just land in your backline and start killing everything you love. Like, this thing will just munch through all of your support. We'll just kill it all. And he's got good enough stats being 14-17 with 10 boxes where you may fail to kill him when you want to kill him. And then it becomes a real problem. Like, I think this could be a real problem model. Let's talk about the lupine shifted. These guys are pretty cheap, which I like. They have got Gang Fighter again. They're shapeshifters. They also have 2 attacks and sidestep with Gang Fighter. So they can also get places in a little different way. And again, they can be granted Jump with the Apex. I don't know. I think I would put in Apexes before I put in the shifted, but these are only 2-point models. They're 14-16s with 5 wounds.
And dodge.
A pretty good. What's that?
And dodge.
And dodge, yeah. So they're a pretty good model. They also have Life Drinker. So if for some reason they take some damage and don't die, it seems corner case. But...
Yep.
All right. Let's talk about. Was there anything else that was put in here? Oh yeah. We talked about the warriors really quick. Yeah.
Yep. They're your basic beater infantry. Decent POW, multiple attacks, decent armor, native pathfinder, big virtue, cheap. So you can bring these guys as corpse fuel for your animist, or you can bring them with somebody like Aslanov, along with some primalists, get some good damage out of them, watch them turn into shifted, and just do decent work at a modest price.
Yeah, I mean, they're armor 16 with unyielding. So, I mean, they're probably more durable in a lot of cases. I mean, they just get close to that annoying point where they're just a little more durable than you want once they get stuck
They're
in.
also 5 points. Like, that's
Yeah.
a really good 5-point unit. 2 attacks with Pathfinder, Unyielding, Defense 12, Armor 16. Like, once you get to a point of model with a unit that's not a support unit, I start feeling like there's real value to be had. Like, any example of them I can think of in the game right now is good, and these guys are, for that price, really good.
These guys make me really sad about my Solus. I'm not gonna lie, because my Solus are 6 points.
Yep.
They have much bigger victim stats, and yeah, they're just not as good. But that's okay.
Can't become werewolves either. They should be able to just pop out vampires. I mean, vampires, werewolves is the theme.
I agree. Actually, we should have units that make other vampires. I feel like
That would be cool.
That's called
the
Hazaroth with revive spells. Your
True.
medium-based infantry are all vampires.
This unit, I think, is one of the coolest units they've come out with in a long time. It's a stealth unit. The grunts are different than the Dark Shepherd. So the Dark Shepherd is actually marked. So the Shepherd can be replaced with a Lupine, which is pretty cool. But the grunts have this rule called Scapegoat, which is when another friendly faction model within 3 inches of this model is directly hit by an attack, you can just remove a Scapegoat and have no damage roll, which is incredible with things like your heavies, your primevals. So like they get charged by something like a cat, and the charge attack, you're just like, nope, didn't happen. Sorry. We noticed earlier that Maxim can revive. So reviving Scapegoats seems like pretty broken to me.
It's worth noting that you can't revive them if they use their Scapegoat rule, because they do remove themselves from play. But if they happen to incidentally get shot up, like, no skin off his nose.
Oh, it is RFP. I didn't notice that. Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you for ruining my dreams. I guess I'm not playing Umbre.
Still good enough. Also, if that's the thing that talks you out of playing Umbre, like, there's so much to love in the faction.
It's true, yeah. These guys have Repo 3, which is pretty cool. Also, they have Knockdown for some reason.
Yep. Just put you on the ground.
Yeah. Also, this guy gives plus 2 inches of movement when shapeshifters are charging. So obviously these guys, they got to go together like peanut butter and jelly. And then they have some pretty interesting abilities on the Dark Shepherd. Guidance is just nice to have. You can give somebody eyeless sight or magical weapons, or actually it gives them both, I think.
Did we lose Chris to an internet outage or something?
Looks like it. Let me bring him back here. Welcome back, Chris.
Nah, it wasn't internet. I hit one button and it dropped me. Oops.
Nice. Hey, Alex, how you doing? Okay.
Hey.
So I think that pretty much covers, I guess, the Legionman Primalist, right?
This
is
is
an
essentially
attachment.
their support. If they're going to be killing guys, he gives them the additional power to be meaningful without spell support, and then just gives them some other handy abilities. This guy will start to more come into his own in probably in future expansions when there are, models that are better able to take full advantage of some of these more corner case abilities. But for now, he's pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really cool stuff. Like Tree Walker is really cool because you can park your guys behind a forest, and then they can ignore it for purposes of charging through it. Because they have Pathfinder and they can ignore it for LOS. Pretty strong play. But like you said, we probably need some better Liegemen.
Yeah.
That are a little more offensive to make that really sing. But good abilities, pretty cheap UA. Yeah, not bad.
Interestingly, he does threat extend the Wardens because he has 1 inch more melee range than they do.
Yes. That is good. Okay.
Downside for him, though, he doesn't have take up. So if you lead with him, well, he might get killed.
Life is cheap in the Iron Kingdoms anyway. Everything gets
He
killed.
might turn into a werewolf. Even better.
Right.
You got a promotion.
Okay. Well, we talked about Umbri. That's boring stuff. Nobody cares about Umbri. Actually, I'm really happy with the design of Umbri. I think one of the interesting things about the faction is they have this real interesting resource mechanic that you're dealing with, which is I'm sacrificing models for effects, and you have to be able to make sure that you're getting good value for the things that you're sacrificing. So pretty cool.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to transition this, but why don't you go ahead? You're more of a professional than I am.
So I'm going to transfer us into some quick remarks on Trollblood's place in the meta and sort of background for my evaluation last week. I'll only take a minute or two.
Actually, why don't you take
this
2 minutes, because I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Have fun.
So this will sort of segue into our main topic today. So John and I were talking in sort of the pre-show discussion about the state of the metagame and sort of why I'm bullish on Brindblood's current place in the meta, particularly with Boomhowler Shadowtongue. I did make some very aggressive assertions that playing casters other than them is by and large an unforced error. So a lot of the things that were really harsh on Brindbloods in the previous year, particularly Moraine, Big Pig, who was very difficult for Brindbloods to counter, Grievous Wounds being available to most lists at a point apiece, etc., have all started to tamp down in the metagame. Moraine, while still viable, is not necessarily the dominating presence that she once was. Brindbloods are not necessarily forced to respond to Big Pig and sort of hyper-contort their lists like they once were. And casters with defensive abilities like Boomhowler's Feet, really, really good. And, just there's a loss of incidental crossfire that they happen to be catching the previous year. Now, when people talk about the metagame, one of the things that both John and I have heard a lot of is, living models, healing, if you have strategies built around these things, because people are teching for the Trichomerics, this style of army isn't really viable. Except that's sort of not necessarily true. The Trichomerics, being a colossal, can't have its regeneration shut down by the most common offensive mechanics in the game like it used to. And so, a lot of the technology that you would think is anti-healing is not necessarily showing up, because even though there's this super influential healing model, the things that counter it are not really ubiquitous. And, some of the models best situated to do it are in Dusk, but are, sort of on the downswing incidentally. Now,
nobody's playing Dusk because Dusk is terrible right now.
We'll come around to that. I mean, I don't think that's true for the same reason that Brindbloods isn't terrible. Now, just some quick remarks on Foulblood, who I see is immensely popular. It's really hard for me to get excited about that caster when he's essentially Boomhowler, but again, very similar defensive mechanics, very similar abilities. The durability of his army through Stumbling Drunk and bonus armor through the feet is essentially premised on the same set of mechanics as Boomhowler's feat is, i.e. your ability to make tough rolls, survive things, and then, achieve positional dominance. I think one of the deciding factors, and Foulblood is better at range defenses because he offers both Fortify and Blur natively and has hit the deck, etc. He can do all these things. I think one of the deciding factors between the two, though, is Foulblood is not a great perdition applicator, and Boomhowler simply synergizes with the King fantastically, whereas Foulblood does not at all. And the ability of the King to amplify the power of infantry armies is preposterous. So Foulblood just broadly better. Your other alternatives, and this is where sort of Broggan Ragemonger has his own unique niche. Dusk is still a problem for the faction. Moraine still exists, and then Helith is sort of ascendant. She's like top gal right now, and even if she doesn't strictly do anti-healing, the -2/-2 feat essentially means that all of Troll's armies die super fast. So where Broggan has a niche and it's not strictly self-sabotage is if you need an out for Dusk. If this is a significant enough tech concern, Broggan is really good in the Dusk.
Seconded. I learned that the hard way. Also,
Yep.
I didn't know it was going to happen when I played against Broggan, so that's my fault. But no, it was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, and Broggan is great compensation both into Helith and Moraine. These matchups aren't unplayable by your other casters, but they're sure not pretty. I think in broader terms, Shadow Tongue gives you better coverage, but there it is. Anyways, speaking of anti-healing tech and sort of counter-conventional wisdom on the metagame, John, you've had a lot of feedback that half your pair isn't viable anymore.
Yeah, no, I hear every time I tell somebody I'm playing Hazaroth, they're like, "How can you play that in this meta? Like everything shuts it down." And I'm like, I've played like 20 games of Haz in tournaments, and I've not been shut down one time. There was one matchup I was worried about where I thought my Dusk opponent was going to drop Moraine, and didn't, because she thought there was no way that I would drop Hazaroth into her with Moraine in her pair. She just didn't understand my commitment. Well, she did not understand my commitment to proving this caster is good.
Well, there's also the other consideration that Hazaroth is a two-pronged caster, in that he's protecting his army with a couple of layered defensive buffs, which are difficult to get around. One of which is Stay Death, but for vampires, and the other is Revive. While RFP tech and Grievous Wounds tech exists in the game, they're rare in the same list. A lot of people can RFP you, and a lot of people can Grievous Wounds you. The list that can do both is really hard to find. So Hazaroth has the option to just lean into whatever works.
That's true. That is very, very true. Yeah, so I have not run into all of this hate that people tell me is out there. Maybe I will. I mean, it's entirely possible.
It doesn't exist. I'm fairly convinced that everybody who thinks that it exists are thinking about things like they're thinking of Silence of Death when they're thinking about it. They're thinking about denial of tough rolls. They're not thinking about actual anti-healing tech. There's very little go look through the app. There's very little entropic force in the game. And it's mostly in legacy armies. It's mostly in Infernals. Hi, we're jerks. We've got a ton of it, so we'll shut you down. But we are.
Well, it's also like mostly in Dusk. If you think about what shows up in the metagame, like the biggest vector, just player over player that you'll see for shutting down healing in a generalized sense is Israfel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also we have access to the solo.
I mean, sure. Also, funny enough, half of it's in Dusk, and the other half's in Sea Raiders. But you can take Malgreth. He's one dude. It's like one guy with a 5-inch aura. It's not shutting down your entire army. It's there for the trike. The trike is a big dumb 120 mil base. It's one thing you need to shut down, not like a dispersed army. It's not happening.
That's the other thing too. Like, there's a lot of counterplay in positioning and that kind of things, because a lot of the stuff that RFPs is on melee attacks. It'll be like strength of death, stuff like that, right? Which is fine, but I'm not going to give you an entire unit for you to charge and RFP. Like, I'm just not going to let it happen. Also, I can use
no ranged RFP too. It's like Kane 4. And
I mean, there's a little bit. There's some in Kane, and there's some in Gravediggers. There's a couple models that have it, but anyway.
Yeah, there's some incidental headshot across the game. But oh boy, like against the armies that do headshot, Hazaroth just has Stay Death. Like, oh, get out of here.
Yeah, and the thing is, where actually Hazaroth actually runs into a problem is people that can generate a high volume of good attacks, because like random crap
Yes.
attacks don't do anything to vampires. Like they just don't. But if
Yeah,
they're
13,
good attacks,
17, 13, 16, 13, 19 models. Yeah, it's hard to find attacks that come in volume that have advantage against that.
that's true. It's tough. So yeah. Oh man, we got St. Louis in the house. We should say hi to everybody. Hello, Steven.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Alex, good to see you. Ice King, I'm glad you're back. We are definitely going to talk about Nastilla. I'm wondering if Nastilla will be here in time for me to get her painted for Nova. That's my primary consideration there. Also, the Phantasm. What's that?
Depends on how well you want to paint her.
Oh, go ahead.
I can't.
I was just gonna say, big personal shout out to Sam Brown in the chat. Sam Brown used to be my local community organizer back when I was mostly playing out of Games of Berkeley. Sam's a great dude and a super duper champion for the game. So super glad he's out there repping the St. Louis scene and continuing to do what he does in this community.
Also, Wave Morehouse, I remember you. I remember hanging out with you. You just look like you're such like a little innocent looking pasty faced assassin. The guy's so good. It's so much fun watching him just wreck face.
All right. So sort of returning more properly, I guess we should probably get back in order to, Dusk's place in the metagame and, what your thoughts are in where that is and how the faction can be super relevant in unconventional ways and sort of why it's not the apocalypse.
Yeah, well, a couple things. First, we mentioned Helith quickly. So I like Hazaroth. Hazaroth is my favorite. I think Helith is probably positioned to do the most damage in the meta. She's just so strong. Like, we've seen every caster that has a defensive feat is strong in this SR packet. You can say Zadarov, you can say Kythos, you can say who's the guy from Gravediggers?
Vargas.
Borusk, all these guys that are like plus 3 defense, plus 3 armor. What happens? They move into the scenario zone and they make it real hard for you to interact with them, and it allows them to play real hard into scenario. Well, guess what? Helith has a feat that only applies to her warrior models, but it is plus 2 defense and plus 2 armor. Okay, that's pretty
in
good.
addition to being a blistering offensive feat. Like, it's really, just because the words are chopped up in a certain way, it's really easy to forget that this is essentially a Denny 1 feat again.
Yep. Yeah, so she has the strongest feat in Dusk. I will say that without reservation. I don't know that anybody can argue with it, but they could try. But I'm not hearing it. So yeah, I think Helith is extremely dangerous. She also has some pretty interesting tools. Her guns have Dispel, which is really strong. Her guns have Grievous Wounds, which is not as strong as I thought it was, because I thought you could Grievous Wounds a Colossal. Turns out you can't. But it's still a strong effect that you can apply. And she grants her battle group True Sight, which is another just like random, strength that you can apply. I haven't seen much Cloud Wall, but Cloud Walls could become relevant because SFS does it pretty well and Gravediggers does it pretty well. And I'll tell you what, a well-played Cloud Wall can really shut you down pretty hard. So just having an answer to Cloud Wall in your list pair, I think, is a good thing to have, even though it hasn't caught on yet. But speaking as somebody who's played a ton of High Reclaimer, if you play Cloud Wall well, you can really, really, really punish people in scenario play and make it really hard on them. So
it doesn't even need to be a Cloud Wall at this point. Just like an incidental cloud from a Desolator from Infernals, or Vilkul in Old Umbry can just throw out a Burning Ash. Clip that onto a forest, and suddenly you've cut off way more angles that your army can approach through. Most armies these days include like some sort of like guidance, either guidance, like an avenue for eyeless sight. So just having True Sight as a field marshal is huge. You don't have to pay anything for a really good roll.
Yep. Yeah. And considering all your heavies have guns, I mean, one of the places in the metagame thing about Dusk, it's hard to talk about without talking about John-specific technological innovations, but I think as the metagame gets more and more used to it, I think the Eidolon is due for a comeback in a lot of good big ways.
We're going to talk about Eidolon.
Helith is kind of
Underrated
amazing.
I'm just saying that.
But it Field Marshal True Sight means like a lot of the incidental free contests and like free scenario denial goes away in some really impressive ways.
Yeah. So again, that's Helith. Now Hazaroth we'll talk about just for a little bit. I happen to think Hazaroth is really strong because he asks a really unique question, which is, if you can't kill my stuff, can you beat me? Turns out I have lost a lot of games with Hazaroth, but the only reason why I have been way ahead in attrition in almost every game. The only times I have lost is because I haven't played aggressively enough in scenario. I've had a complete failure of dice. I mean, we literally had a game where I rolled 7 double ones in a game, 6 in one turn. Yeah, I mean, it happened.
See our reflections on the Dragon's Fury event for that one, by the way.
Exactly. And then the other times is just I've face planted Hazaroth into things that have killed him, which now that I know that they exist, won't happen as much. I keep learning new ways for him to die. But
There's
all
so
that
many.
to say,
A lot of fire damage rolls.
a lot of fire damage rolls. He's literally flammable. He's died to an 11 and a 12 on 2 fire damage rolls. That's happened. But the truth is, I have felt so good in all of those games, and I have felt so ahead on attrition that the scenario play I can clean up. I just need to play more aggressive in scenario. I got a little too cute by half, and I'm actually considering, we'll talk about this, putting 1 unit of swordsman in with ambush to allow me to just give me an out on scenario play. It's just something that I can use,
especially considering that the entire army wants to play within 10 inches of Hazaroth, either for Shadowmancer or for Invocation of Dust.
Correct.
Yeah, it sounds like some Time Bandits may be exactly what you need in your life.
Yeah, so it's something I've been thinking about. Also, I think Ice King brought this up, but Nastilla is interestingly, Nastilla is huge for both Helith and for Hazaroth, and I'll explain both here really quick. Obviously, for Hazaroth, she brings Revive to the table, so you don't have to rack it, which allows you to free up also 8 points because you don't have to take the 2 solos that cast Revive for you. Grim Returns. You can take them, but I don't think you need them. If you have, basically, Nastilla just does that for you. And then you get a module that can operate outside of Hazaroth's 12-inch control area because they don't have to be there. And Aberration is an arc node, so Nastilla can get revived into all kinds of places, and she has a 12-inch control, so she can be quite far away from Aberration and still be putting that in, right? No, Sam, you're absolutely right. I played against Erica, and swordsmen are annoying.
She's been doing great work with those. I've seen her play that several times. Every time I see that list hits the table, I just get excited. It just makes me happy.
The other reason why I want to play Nastilla with Helith is very specific, which is powering up the feat. Now, it takes some planning, but if you hit a caster with the brain damage spray, which has got a 12-inch range, and it's a spray, so it's real hard to stop. What's that?
It's not impossible. You can definitely.
It's not impossible. But do you know how much better her feat gets when you can't Carnage? I'm just saying, like, it's a huge deal. And so I just think adding that tech to the list allows you to it makes it a lot harder for people to counter her feat. Right.
Also, just under feet being Rat 8, POW 16 on a spray 12 is not nothing. Even if you're not clipping a caster, that's a hell of a gun with focus behind it.
Yeah, I mean, you can even hit Kythos with it. Now, it's sort of dicey, right? Because I think she's Rat 6. I believe she's Rat 6.
She is a Rat 6.
Yep.
If you're past Kythos feet, you're just looking at 3 dice to a 10 to hit, which is hilarious.
Yeah, well, if you respond with your feet, right, you're looking at 3 dice to an 11 under Kythos' feet and your feet. Again, it's 50-50 pretty much. But if you hit it, like, you're in real good shape. And if you miss it, it's not the end of the world. It didn't cost you a lot, right? The other thing I like about it is, I think I want to build health with a lot of the vampires, because the vampires are really good under her feat. So you're stacking the defensive feat, and then revive just becomes really strong with that. It's like basically free with Nastilla and Aberration. And again, I don't super love Aberration. It's like not the sexy. Nastilla is the sexy part of that package, but Aberration's not nothing, you know. The nice thing about Aberration, which is kind of unusual amongst the juniors, is it's base power 21 if it wants to be, which is a big deal. Like you can get his power way up there. So
yeah, he hits pretty good. I've played him a few times now, and he's been okay. I wouldn't say, like, he's not setting my world on fire. He's definitely not for everybody who was looking at him being called like the next big pig, like the replacement big pig. No, this isn't it. You're not going to see him in every single list pair ever. It's sometimes in both lists, but he's good, but he's not great.
Yeah,
I agree.
Part of the big picture there is Aberration doesn't have great threat range. And if Aberration is not making melee attacks, Aberration's output is actually kind of poor. As far as attacks that do damage, you're essentially looking at a single POW 14 with focus to throw behind it, and some non-damaging short-range sprays with no native threat extenders. If he's making melee attacks, he's happy as pig and crap. But most of his value comes from just standing there and sucking to attack. You know, I think there's going to emerge probably two philosophies on your Super Junior with Helith, because boy, does she love a Super Junior. Used to be Carver, still can be, and that's a playstyle preference, but I think in the main, the two big schools you're going to see are Aberration between people who want to make very slow role plays, and Magnus and Invictus for people who want to make like very big, very flashy plays. And, you know, the difference that you can see is not even something you necessarily design a list around. It's just swapping out those 20 points to taste.
Yep. Yeah, it depends on how you're building your list pairs. But I quite like it. So anyway, I think Nastilla is really strong in both Azeroth and in Helith for different reasons, but the same reason, which is revive on a stick is going to be good anytime you're playing vampires, and you're going to want to play vampires with both those casters. Which brings me to my next subject that I want to talk to you guys about, because something I've been thinking about is, do I want to diversify my lists in that it's real tempting for me to like load both lists with all the vampires because they're really good in both lists. I mean, I've played a ton of Hazaroth with like 2 units of cats, 2 units of archers, a unit of slayers, and then some random jacks, and usually a Magnus and Invictus or something like that, and some support solos, right? That list is really strong, works great. Helith, the same thing. You want to put in a whole bunch of cats, because under the feet, cats become 15, 19s. Yeah, good luck with that. Have fun dealing with them. And then, the other guys become what, 15, 18s. Also, gross defensively, and they have good output. Cats have 2 attacks apiece. Archers blow up the world under the feet. If you're -2 defense and -2 armor, suddenly you're getting hit by POW 10 blast damage. Really strong. The equivalent of POW 16 shots, or you could just be POW 17. That works too.
15, 18 essentially gives all your casters or all your warrior models caster or archon level defensive stats. So you have to consider, if you want to kill 2 archers or 2 slayers, what you're looking at is the equivalent in terms of like the math of the underlying attacks, an assassination run to kill 2 grunts.
Yeah, which I may bring back with revive. Right. So,
right.
And I also, yeah. So like, have fun with that. So anyway, my thought is, one of the thought exercises I've been going through is, do I want to build a cohort heavy list in one of my two lists, right? So I have the option, like Hazaroth probably buffs cohort better than anyone else. He has Escort and Shadowmancer, which are just 2 broken spells for cohort models. Like, they just are. So I'm considering putting all the vampires in with Helith and building Hazaroth with a more cohort focus, which is weird because it's not at all what I've done in the past with him.
Mm-hmm.
The other option I have is building Helith cohort focused, because if you start building those 12 or 13 point Eidolons with the momentum gun and the gun fist, they do a ton of work on her feat turn, like a ton.
Yeah.
And they all have true sight, so it allows you to blow up stealth stuff. It allows you to see through clouds. It just allows you to really lay down a lot of boosted damage shots. So I don't know. I wanted to sit back and listen to what you guys think of that thought exercise. Is it worth diversifying into a cohort heavy list? Because some scenarios actually it's to your advantage to have more cohort models.
Very much so.
What's that?
So I have some thoughts on this, because this was a point of discussion that came out. I don't recall if in the recording, but definitely in our background discussion. Mm-hmm. For me, making lists in Brine Bloods. So I had a fantastic barbecue and War Machine filled weekend this past week. And it gave me a lot of time to reflect on my pair and how it does in practice. One of the things I was on the fence about is Boomhowler King and Shadow Tongue and King, or does that, contract my list defensive profiles and introduce too many key vulnerabilities? And after having played a bunch of games of big battle group Shadow Tongue, I don't think it's necessarily introducing a strategic vulnerability. In fact, I'm far more friendly to the idea than I was previously, i.e. both lists being centered around a Colossal. It really depends on the capacity in which both lists are centering this particular defensive profile. In Shadow Tongue, it's offense, offense, offense. This Colossal is dealing damage. It's turning its 6 initials into, upwards of 18 attacks in a round, maybe more. Versus with Boomhowler, it's, the infantry is mostly the star of the show. The Colossal introduces a decision dilemma and is used to just apply, use its defensive capabilities to apply pressure to your opponent. Having tried it the other way, I'm more friendly to both lists actually having some aspects of very high overlap in construction, because both play it very differently. And this is something we've talked about in the past, is you can take a Dusk list that goes, Vampire Warriors to the hilt under 2 different casters, and they'll run it completely differently. Because Helith plays up both their offenses and their numerical defenses under the feet and uses battle group in a supporting element. Hazaroth just takes them having very good defensive stats and says, oh yeah, you also need massive redundancy of attacks, and if you don't wipe units, it doesn't count. So Hazaroth is fielding the same models, but you're not necessarily worried about an opponent using a specific, profile of offensive attacks or technological abilities, because he's bringing his own defensive mechanics completely orthogonal to what they do natively.
Yeah, another way to think about it is Hazaroth is playing a long game, and Helith is playing a short game. Helith is going to alpha you, and then have a bunch of stuff in your face that is buff to the nines, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where Hazaroth just wants to play like, I'm going to sandpaper I'm going to kill some stuff. You're not going to kill anything. I'm going to kill a few more things. You're not going to kill anything. I'm going to kill a few more things. You're not going to kill anything. And then pretty soon you're like, wait a minute, I haven't killed anything, and I've lost half my army. This is not going well. I need to kill Hazaroth. So where Helith is like, I'm going to feat and kill a third of your army and put stuff that you can't really meaningfully interact with in your face and in a scenario. So they play completely differently, but I always forge my own path, James. What are you talking about? I'm talking about Hazaroth right now. Get out of here. But no, I'm just curious. Like, do you think it's worth? Because what I was thinking about doing was building a Hazaroth list that was cohort focused, but could still use invocation on some cats, right? You could have like inviolable resolved cats and invocations to like really make that unit pretty much immortal and really annoying to deal with. And
Yeah,
then still
let's dive into the particulars. I think probably we should start with Helith. You know, I think because while they're speculatively a very good Helith big battle group, you know, I think you're locked in on a consistently effective paradigm for her. So let's go through that specific list and, you know, see what your big answers generalist looks like. And then we can use that to put in context, you know, the nasty monster man of questions and the various ways he can be built.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm having operator error here. 1 second. All right. So first thing I'm going to add to this list is Helith. Second thing I'm going to add is an Isifril. And the reason why I'm putting Isifril on the list is I just think Helith is a really, really good way to kill a trike. And putting Isifril on the list just means that the trike just instantly explodes. So, and it's a good model with her anyway. It's quite effective.
Good model. Like, just take it.
Yeah. It also gives her, I mean, it's got power 17 base. So it's like a decent jack for going and doing some work. All right. So before we do anything, let's start off with all the vampires and see where it gets us. You know me going, John, why are you putting Dreadguard Sires on the list? Because I want to. Because let's actually just talk about this model for a second. Because I had this discussion with Alex, and he was not seeing it at first. But he did eventually come around to my way of thinking. Number one, it's 4 points for an 8 wound model. That's 1316. So if you think about comparing them to Slayers, right? Slayers are 8 points for 3 models, right? So you get 8 more wounds. That's better. But you get, for the same 8 points, you get 2 hand cannons, and you get Cleave, and you get POW 12 Weapon Master, which I like better than a POW 15 attack. That's me, but that's because of how dice work. When you roll more, it is better mathematically, and you do a half point damage more on average, but you also have bigger spikes, so you can spike it to the moon when you're rolling a lot of weapons.
There's also the psychological advantage where somebody's like, POW 15, that sounds pretty good. This is POW 12 Weapon Master. Oh crap, gotta stay away from that. Even though mathematically it's not that much higher, everybody wants to stay away from the Weapon Master. They gotta respect that.
Yep. And so again on Helith's feat turn, this is a POW 14 hand cannon shot, right? And then you're very likely to hit. So I think they compare very favorably to Slayers, who are full of sadness and disappointment for me. But we're going to play them with Helith because she allows them to hit -2 defense. Hey, that's good.
I like Slayers. Maybe I'm the only person on the internet who does, but I like them.
Yeah, they're okay. They often fail me, which I don't care for. And then do you think Nastilla is going to be available?
So official word that I saw today or yesterday is that Nastilla ships July 31st. What that means in terms of arrival for you, for those of us that have the app subscription and are waiting on our codes, we don't know when those are coming out yet. So the best that I can say is we should have a full month, hopefully pending shipping. I know that Steamforge has gotten these things out kind of within that window. For Old Umbry, our local store actually had pre-orders in a couple of days before the street date. And I also know some stores had them in like a week or two after. So there's some variance here. Can't say. I'm hopeful that we're going to have Nastilla and Aberration week 1 of August. But to your point, for the list building, we could throw them in now, and she doesn't actually come out, or if you don't receive her until like mid-August, you could pivot to a Magnus Invictus.
Yeah, Magnus Invictus is totally fine. Mm-hmm. So now we're over on points, and the other model I want to consider is Kruger.
Oh yeah,
quite
not
good
a consideration. Staple him to her. Nice.
So
good.
I have not had good luck with him, mainly because every time I played him, he's gotten killed immediately by somebody spiking a hit roll. But if you play Nastilla, you get to put vision on him. Quite good.
Yes, That's the other reason I was going to say take him.
Yeah, and then under Hella's feet, I mean, she just kills everything. All right, so we're currently 12 points over. The Mage Hunter Commander is a non-negotiable because you need reposition on Helith.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the problems I have with this list currently is no ability to get Shield Guard if I'm doing reposition. But I may want another Mage Hunter Commander. Actually, though, I could drop one Sire.
It's a consideration, but also, hear me out, you can take the hit and run card as well, if you would like to, on the turn where you really need shield guard, where you're really feeling in danger, in threat. That's typically Helith's feet turn. I've played Erica playing Helith a few times, and I've played into her a couple of other times, and typically her most vulnerable turn is that feet turn. So you can burn a hit and run card there, and then get a unit of shield guards, protect her that way. And then after that, she kind of gets to hang in the background and take target of opportunity shots. But the feat's passed. Now it's cleanup. Let the army do that.
Yeah. So this is where I think I'm going to end up, but it does create a situation where I don't have near as many Dreadguard as I would like. I would like to have the other unit of Slayers, and the two Scions, but then I feel like I need Seeker Adepts because I feel like if you're going to play Israfil, it's almost necessary for the extra focus to drop on her or to make her Exorcism. She survives a lot better if she can't be debuffed.
Exorcism is a more compelling reason, because I was going to say, with only one cohort, you're probably fine just feeling that with Helith.
The thing is, Helith does not want to give her focus out.
No, not a ton. But also, like I said, you have to be very careful about what you want to pick when you're shooting with her to begin with. So,
it's
much
true.
like Kane doesn't want to give it out, but she also doesn't have like a ton of spells that she always wants to be casting, as opposed to like some other casters that want to get work done too.
Yeah.
And Israfil is only going to have, realistically, 1, maybe 2 turns of real production. So the question is, what do you need to do on those 1 or 2 turns with Helith? And does the feat get you there too? Because it might be just enough that you're not needing to boost a hit all of a sudden.
True. The other thing I don't know if this is possible. Maybe we don't need Israfil, because that's like 21 points. So the other option I could go with is something like this. So this gives me more attacks. I lose the support, but I could. So I can either do another unit of Slayers or the 2 Sires. I kind of like the Sires a little better, but I don't know. What do you think? Alex, do you think it's worth dropping Israfil for something like this?
I am so happy I got back just in time for this. I am absolutely in favor of this list decision as a major John Damaris technological innovation, which is cracking the code on the Eidolon. So we're looking at Sires who are weapon masters. We're looking at archers who do good damage. We're looking at cavalry who does really good damage. And we're looking at slayers who also do good damage, both between the feat and battle lust and the option for Curse of Shadows. A lot of people, when they look at heavy warjacks, take the equation as like, I'm going to go for the biggest powered weapon and I'm going to increase their survivability. And soon you've got a heavy jack that costs 16 to 17 points and just has massive roll overlap with your infantry. It's almost redundant, but it's kind of a big failure point because it's not benefiting from your feat or your other defensive mechanics. Instead, if you look at particularly Slayers and Archers, they can often have a hard time with a huge volume of bodies versus an Eidolon that can make a lot of attacks. And particularly against Dorks are going to struggle to bring it down in a way that they wouldn't necessarily against medium defensive statted dudes under not feet turn. I think an Eidolon like this actually offers you a bunch of things that Israfel isn't necessarily. Israfel is also going to have heavy roll overlap with your infantry, but Israfel being a very heavy points investment, including bringing his own dedicated support unit to ensure that he's durable. If he has to stand on central objectives, he's probably going to die there unless you've made decisive attrition inroads already. Something like an Eidolon can make soft commits very easily. I think if it buys you significantly more models that are already great at armor cracking, the Eidolon is the choice every time.
I like that. Now the question is, do I want a unit of Slayers? Do I want 2 Dawn God Sires? Or do I want
a second commander and some other other fluff? Oh, Kruger. Interesting.
Kruger's quite good with vision. I think that's good. He also he's not tied in any way to my control area, right? So
I think this one probably comes down to a personal flavor decision. Whether you're going to go for the big early offensive blitz where it's, okay, Kruger's just, wiped a skirmishing unit and he's got vision, and unless you make a significant resource commit, he's going to demolish another unit again. Kruger probably lets you defer feet just because he's under vision, such a big resource commit and threat. Versus you bring Slayers and you're going to settle into a significantly slower game. Both because Aberration becomes your designated vision target in most cases and does very low risk objective camping. And Slayers just give you more bodies on the ground.
Yeah, it's more about what kind of game you want to play here. Kruger's for threat projection and possibly key critical model. I don't know what they might be, but things that you don't want on the board or you want playing very far back. And then, not just having more Slayers means that you're definitely trying to beefcake the feat a bit and just require more commitment. So
and something that's important to hammer home here is like, we're not in the decision point where this is like, one or the other is going to determine this list's viability. We're in the point now where this is a fully functional list that is devastatingly effective, and we're just talking like, do you want a twist of lemon, or do you want an extra shot of extra bit of vermouth in there to make the flavors really come together?
Absolutely.
Vermouth. You guys are funny. Trying to massage the points here. I wouldn't mind getting the sniper teams in because they just do so much work. And they're great for back flag holding. But I think I'm 1 point over, because if I could drop 1 sire, but I don't have a point I can shave off this Eidolon. And guess I could do this and put in.
I mean, you could go
this.
Yeah, there you go.
He took a Void Shaper unironically. Oh boy. This is a list now.
Void Shaper getting a drop down to cost 2 is probably the best thing that ever happened to his viability.
Oh yeah, totally.
He's also a 12-16 model, so he's 14-18.
Yep.
Ancillary attack is not bad. Tune up is randomly good.
Recalibration is very good when you need it to be.
Yeah.
As somebody who at this point now plays factions that crutch on rerolls, because I can't roll for crap, definitely appreciate them existing in a list in whatever capacity I can get them.
But I think...
Interestingly, also, it said friendly faction construct model, right?
Yeah, yes. It's faction.
I was immediately going to Invictus with a crit knockdown reroll. No, can't do it. Dang.
That would be nice. Yeah, that would be really nice. But it is kind of nice.
Only Infernals and Orcos can do these things. You can't have it, Johnson.
It is kind of nice with a momentum gun to have a reroll.
Yes.
But I think maybe what I want is... I think this is where I'm going to end up. What do you guys think of where I'm at here?
Okay, so we got Helith, an Eidolon with Arcane Stasis, Force Fist, Light Null Blade, and Force Cannon. It's worth noting that this is an 11-point heavy with 4 initial attacks, one of which is a high-powered blast. So this model can wipe a unit of single wound infantry plus 2 solos, each bringing 2 attacks each.
The Force Cannon is the momentum cannon.
Oh, the Force Cannon's the momentum one. Oh, okay.
No, it can still wipe a unit if they're close together.
Yeah. And then you've got Nostilla bringing revives so that Helith doesn't have to. Helith is such a weird caster because she doesn't even necessarily want to cast spells. Like, you can rack revive with her, but it feels so bad to actually cast versus Nostilla's like, I got this, boss. You got the commander for the shield guard option. You got the archers, you got the double cavalry, and you have the unit of slayers, which is your ideal shield guard target. You know, now we're just down to microing command cards. I think Duck and Cover is an obvious one. Old Faithful is hit or miss.
I don't care for Old Faithful. I do like hit and run. I do like Duck and Cover. I do like Careful Reconnaissance.
Yeah,
Lucky Penny
I think
is probably not necessary.
It's not necessary, but it's handy, especially if Helith does have to cast spells. Put the fires out is actually golden.
Huge here. You want that.
Yep. I need that. And then I think what I want is breakthrough.
Breakthrough or defenses. Especially because of the spells that Helith doesn't necessarily want to cast but can, because she ostensibly has focus free. You can just Ghost Walk and give her a secure hiding place and give some of your other high value models secure hiding places.
All right, so it's breakthrough or defenses.
You play hit and run on whatever you want there, Steven. Most of the army doesn't have native Pathfinder, and Helith really doesn't want to spend her turn handing out as much Ghost Walk as she can fill. She wants to do other stuff, so that's a good one to have in the back pocket.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely need Careful Reconnaissance. So maybe instead of hit and run, we put in defenses. I think I like that.
There we go. Yeah, and then we just tinker them to walls. I would recommend going double wall and then one powder keg. And the reason for that is you're fielding the rare Eidolon with a fist available. Powder keg, if you deploy it properly, if you're up against enemy defenses, should probably be your last defense down, and gives you the option for that very cheap Eidolon to just go, I'm the sapper card now for this one turn. Or, you've run up a bunch of infantry on me, I'm going to punt this powder keg at them and blow them up.
Love doing that. That's fun.
Powder keg is a very flexible, very underrated defense. Even when I've run Kane in the past and after having run Kane for some time now, I'm very heavily inclined to go, 2 or even 3 powder kegs when I have open fists available.
Playing Donkey Kong at that point.
Oh, it's great.
The other thing I can consider is Dices for one of the sires.
You don't need dices.
I feel like you're going a different list at that point.
Yeah. And John, I know we've had this back and forth in the past.
We have.
As great as Kiss of Lilith is, I think in the current edition, both at 7, and with how much damage on tap Dusk has, you just don't need it. And most of the time I've seen Dices in play, she's almost essentially been wasted points every time.
Yeah, the only thing I like her for is if I'm going to play Ghost Walk, it's quite handy.
Oh, for sure.
A spell slave Ghost Walk is always nice. Is it 4 points? Nice.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the harm can be good. I mean, it's
Has it?
It can be good when you don't miss that, that 7.
Played too much Ion and Holt back in the day. I watched a lot of 7s miss. Sometimes 7s that shouldn't miss, still missing.
No. I mean, that's 100% true. But typically, where I really want harm are things like when you see Counter Heavies that are armor 22, that are not hard to hit with a harm, but are just. I suppose if I see Counter Heavies, though, I can just rack Battle Lust and call it a day.
Yes. I was gonna say if you're not racking Battle Lust, I'm gonna check your temperature again because I'm not sure you're ever being sick.
I guess that is a consideration. I could drop both Sires for another unit of Slayers. It does make Battle Lust more efficient.
It makes Battle Lust more efficient, but... Sorry, go again, Chris?
I said I think you have enough targets for Battle Lust. You don't need to do that.
I mean, I do have cats.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, we're in this isn't a list make or break. This is, peach or mango. Two great flavors. You're just taking a personal preference exercise at this point.
I like it. All right, I think I'm going to call this done for now. What do you guys think? Where we ended up here?
I think this is a rock solid list. It has lots of dudes that under feet turn are an assassination run per 2 guys. You have a revive at the backstop. You have a very low effort objective commit, particularly on central 50s scenarios. I think this is fantastic. I think this is a great demonstration of functional Helith paradigms. And you can run a list without Kruger or substituting Magnus and Invictus or whatever. There's a bunch of armies in the neighborhood of this that are really good and are absolutely metagame super viable.
Is there okay? First off, fist bump, Erica. Duskisode, let's go. Second off, this is a good question. Is there a Dusk list that does not run Dreadguard Cavalry? No, probably not. And the reason why I say that is...
there is. Ask Erica.
No, there are. Well, I don't think I've ever seen her run a list without. I've seen her run 1 unit of Cav. It's hard to run 2.
You don't even like doing that anymore. I'm telling you right now, they're on the downswing for her.
Okay.
They exist.
Well,
you can do it.
The reason why I think Cav are very important for Dusk is if we have an issue with anything, and I guess the Phantasm does solve for this a little bit, it is we cannot hit things that are high defense. It's very difficult for us. So the nice thing about the Cav is they have that Cav charge, which allows you to get around that. And I think that's the most important part about the Cav. The other reason why Cav are really good with Helith in particular is, 15-19 is a thing.
And there's virtually nothing they don't fight well, feet or not. They're great against hard targets. They're great against high defense targets. They have 2 attacks apiece. They're great against dorks. There's nothing this unit doesn't do well. They're
except for getting engaged with certain things. There are sometimes when it is tough to get them all engaged the way you want to, because large bases and 1-inch melee range is just, it can be rough. Erica's not running Cav. Okay, we'll have to talk about that at some point.
Told you.
That's interesting. I mean, they are 11 points. You get a lot of stuff if you jump to Cav.
Not only is she not running Cav, I have watched her absolutely manhandle people without them. So, her lists got better and her win rates went up. It's cool to see. I'm loving what she's doing with the stuff.
That's cool. I'm down.
But let's stick a pin in that, because I think that's an issue for future discussion of War Machine Nirvana. Let's take some lessons from this and pivot over to Hazaroth, because it's very easy for Hazaroth to just push button the same list down, and then say, okay, here's my army, and have it be a viable pair with significant model overlap that plays completely differently. But
Indeed.
If we're looking at Haz can be built in multiple ways, and the innovations from the Eidolon construction session are super important, because an unconventional model like that opens up list building options that were previously disregarded when people tried to like Dawnblade and Shield Max in the past. So let's, John, give us your top level thoughts on Haz, his place in the metagame, and what he likes and how he can be built multimodally.
Well, like I said, Hazaroth is extremely good with the vampires. I've played a lot of reps with Hazaroth and the vampires and done very, very well. It's just, I am ahead in every game on attrition that I play with Hazaroth for the most part. And it's just a matter of, if I don't screw up and get him killed, and if I don't screw up scenario, I do great. Yes, War Machine Enlightenment. Fist bump again, Erica. Erica is all over it. War Machine Enlightenment is the bomb. But here's something, it's kind of an interesting thing to think about with Hazaroth. Yep. You can build these. I forget something. Yeah. You can build these 11-point Eidolons. This is an 11-point heavy. Okay. That is with Shadowmancer, POW 18. It has a 12-inch threat because of escort, and it's just very easy to trade well.
Yep.
So I think this could be a good basis for a list, which is Hazaroth and some cheap Eidolons for initiation. Shadowmancer also gives them stealth, so you can build this list into like a real problem. And then if you play with a lot of heavies, his feat becomes very live. His feat, which is heals everything to full. It's one of the reasons why I don't like the Phantasm with him. A lot of people really like the idea of a Phantasm with him, but the feat does not apply to the Phantasm. So I'm not as interested.
Honestly, I wasn't crazy about it, and I thought it did.
What's that?
I thought it applied to the Phantasm. I didn't realize that.
I did too.
Extra large or smaller bases is the wording on his feat. I think they specifically foresaw, we don't want Hazaroth restoring 55 boxes to a colossal plus all his cavalry.
Never stopped Darius in a storm wall back in the day.
Yeah, it seems totally fine, right?
It never made Darius good. Let's also be clear on that.
No, yeah. What stopped Darius is not his feat affecting colossals. It was Darius.
I'm taking at least one unit of Dawnguard Cav with Hazaroth because Invocation is so good on them. And then if you put Inviolable Resolve, you get to make your tough check first.
Yep.
And then Invocate any failed tough checks.
These are your highest return models for Invocation of Death. They're the hardest to damage. They have internal synergy with Invocation of Death because you get Spring Blade triggers every time you spend to keep them alive.
Mm-hmm.
Even if one unit is technically adequate, 2 units, you get to put one in peril first, maybe under Inviolable Resolve, and say, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to remove these guys. Your opponent succeeds through cunning play, and then you say, here's a second one, do it again.
Yes,
and unlike archers or slayers, these guys handle every defensive type on their own, almost unsupported.
Okay, so now we get to a discussion. We'll get back to the battle group once we've filled out everything else. We probably want one of the Super Juniors to range outside of Hazaroth's control area, right?
Yep.
We do.
Wait, so Invocation of Dust can get you a long way if you go all the vampires, which I think is a viable list, but Hazaroth can only keep so many things alive. And in between Invocation of Dusk and Revive, which consumes a rack slot for him, Hazaroth only has so many focus. Essentially, the more guys you bring, the more he's taxing that core resource and bumping into limits. A Super Junior essentially off-gasses 20% of the work for Hazaroth's focus, and in some cases augments it, either with Magnus and Invictus, who are superlative ranging scenario pieces. You can deploy them on literally any quadrant of the board, and they're going to be super relevant, maybe even, segment play defining because of how tough Invictus is and how much of a win con he is when he connects at full health. Or you can bring Nostilla and Aberration, which again further off-gasses Hazaroth's resource costs and gives you a massive, super secure defensive piece that Hazaroth has no investment in. And in fact, tends to attract models like Gravity, which is cavalry, his slayers, his warjacks, can tee off against a bunch of models committing to remove Aberration.
Yeah, I quite want to play Nostilla and Aberration, but I've already put them in with Helen. I also don't mind Magnus. I played a lot of Magnus with Hazaroth. It was great. It was fantastic.
But Nostilla is fulfilling, again, a separate function here, because while Revive is a neat addition to Heleth, to Hazaroth, she's performing a core function. She's doing one of the things Hazaroth wants to spend his very limited resource pool on. I don't think Magnus is a disrespectable choice, but I wouldn't get shame-headed about double tapping that niche list.
I want to put in Kruger too, because the more I think about Vision on Kruger and Aberration on a flank, you just own a flank, without any investment from Hazaroth. We'll see how the points work.
I think that's almost more of a Magnus play, because Magnus tends to be much more interested in owning flanks, versus Aberration is much more interested in owning center and reducing your commits and teeing up counterpunch, which Hazaroth loves opportunity to counterpunch.
Indeed. Hey Daniel, thanks for the nice thoughts. We really appreciate that. Yes, we actually love Spectres, Erica, and we may get there here.
And she knows how much I love them.
Yeah, and just the people that missed it earlier, I'm building these lists for Nova. I don't think the Phantasm will be here in time for Nova for me. I think there's a good chance Nostilla will be, but if Nostilla's not here, I'm definitely going to come hang out at Nova. You're stuck with me, Erica. I'm sorry. We're going to be talking Dusk all weekend and talking about how enlightened we are. I mean, that's going to happen. All right. So what else do we want to put in this list? I want to put some more jacks in this list, I think.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's take a look and see what it ends up looking like.
And the early days of Dusk, particularly pre-Big Pig, you did see a lot of Haz with Israfel. And this was also like Haz in, the pre-John days of very expensive Eidolons. Israfel still has the same weaknesses he has in other Dusk generalist lists. If you're looking at a caster like Sirafel, he's probably a great fit because you want, maximum value. But Hazaroth, with his ability to tune up both threat range and damage potential of low cost heavies, if you're looking to get maximum mileage out of Hazaroth's kit while also still leaving you a mode switch to do defensive infantry play, you're looking as cheap as possible. And POW 16 Blessed, when you're amplifying it up to POW 18, is plenty good enough. I mean, it's only one less than Israfel, so.
Yep.
All gassed, no brakes. Thanks for that one, Erica.
Yep. All gas, no brakes. That's quite good. Quite good. Okay. This is what I'm kind of thinking right now. I
All
don't
right,
know if
so
I
let's-
need the commander. This also allows. I want one unit of secret adepts just so I could load up one of these jacks and send it in. I'm kind of
Just
thinking
so
I
you-
might. Go ahead.
You can you have the option to off gas Hazaroth there, which can be neat on the turn that you need multiple jacks to go in and do business. I think you're also left with 2 points left over, which is a Void Shaper, which also off gases your need for racking a spell like Ghost Walk when you have a third of your army invested in Battle Group. And you just have Pathfinder on tap. That's fantastic. You can bring defenses and not have to worry about your own ability, like tripping yourself up. I think maybe weak links in this list are, and the Slayers are fantastic, especially when, one of your major loss conditions is, mildly mismanaging Hazaroth's position. If you have a backstop to just say, here's 3 models that can shield guard him and won't die, or here's 3 models that can shield guard the visioned Kruger. There's a lot of play to them. I think that's really good because you're bringing a lot of guns off your battle group, because Aberration is bringing his 1 gun, Nostilla's bringing her 1 gun. You have enough shooting in the army to put a timer on. Kruger's like the one model where I think, okay, if you're looking at this paradigm, this guy's maybe a little hit or miss. But I really like this as an unconventional style.
What I really like about Kruger, or how I plan on using him, is I plan on sticking in vision on him and then sending him to a far objective and just like being a real pain in the ass.
Who's his backstop to prevent him from getting diced? Are we looking at one of the 3 heavies just coming up behind him and saying like, okay, you did a big full send on boostable attacks against Kruger, now let's see you do it against a tougher model? Or what are you looking at for
it could be
consolidating the gains that Kruger buys you?
It could be a heavy, it could be Aberration, it could be actually it could be Unity Cav.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's probably your general purpose backstop there. Yeah.
Yep. So there's a lot I can do with it. What I don't know is maybe, interestingly, I kind of feel like I want to go with more vampires, maybe. But then if I go more vampires, because I enjoy playing Hazaroth with, well, how do I want to say this? With a full stack of focus.
Yeah.
And casting Shadowmancer is not a good way to keep a full stack of focus. Even though I like
it's a mode. It's a mode switch for him. Like I know I've talked about this in the past. I wanna play Shadow Tongue, like mostly casting Perditions or throwing out offensive spells. But if the scenario calls for it, or the tactical situation calls for it, I can change plans entirely and say, okay, battle group, run yourselves. I'm just gonna push the revive button as many times as possible. So like, I think a good exercise here might be like, this is the unconventional play. Let's stick a fork in this one and build a new list, and we'll just push yes to as many vampires as possible and see what the alternative looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to add another idol onto this list, actually, and just play more for Shadowmancer.
So what, you just cut probably Slayers and Kruger?
Maybe. The other thing I'm thinking too is I may want to put a couple Dawnblades. It does make them 13-point jacks, but it does give you an extra inch of threat, and it makes you power.
Another alternative is you just cut Slayers, And then you drop all the wait, are these vortex cannons or
They're all
these
vortex
are vortex cannons. Oh, okay. So these are cheap as possible.
This is as cheap as you can build an Eidolon. Just FYI.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other alternative is cut Slayers, cut Commander, and give yourself one momentum cannon Eidolon.
Yeah. The other thing we can do, which is kind of interesting, is we can do something like this. We can do this.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just drop the Slayers and drop the Commander, sub in Archers.
No, I don't want Archers in this list.
Oh, fair enough.
Is weird to say, but I want this to be a melee heavy list because sometimes you run into a list pair.
Oh, you add Blade Masters. Cut the Slayer, add Blade Masters.
Blade Masters.
The swordsman.
Yeah.
Ambushers. Ambushers 4th heavy.
I don't know if we can quite make it, but let's try.
You'll be a couple points over there, but it's close.
Well, we can
cut the Commander, I think, which is probably the flex point at this point.
Which is weird because the Commander gives me shield guards.
Oh, no, yeah. The Commander is such a good model. I think at this point we've stripped away everyone that the Commander wants to be supporting. So
yeah, you don't generally want your Dread Guard cap to be your shield guards.
Generally not.
You don't want them to get free hits on them. Doesn't feel great. And you took the Slayers out already, so he's probably they're not appearing in this list.
That is interesting.
Now we're getting weird.
Well, now I've got 5 cohort models.
How about a Seeker Warden on the Blade Masters?
Seeker Warden.
Or how about another Void Shaper? Let's scroll up and see that battle group again.
Or
Eidolon,
do I
Eidolon.
want to change one of these Eidolons into something a little different?
You could go Spectre and pick up a sniper team.
That seems good, actually. I like that idea. Because a sniper team gives me a dispel.
Mm-hmm.
I am a super big fan of Spectres, so I will always support this move.
No, yeah, and that's another like micro level mode switch is like, okay, let's suppose my infantry isn't much in danger or that my seekers don't have much to do. I can just make this light warjack preposterously hard to kill. So now you've got to respond to the preposterously hard to kill Invictus, the extremely durable 3 stealth heavies, or this essentially 41 box light that's defense 15 in melee and also stealth.
Just the jerk jack. I hate these things. They're so good.
And also you have to still respond to my Stay Death Cavalry that you're maybe racking a revive option for. So, and you have to respond to ambushers that just come in and say, this piece of geometry's off, and the Spectre that says, this piece of geometry's off. This is I feel real good about where we've landed with big battle group Hazaroth here. This is very exciting.
I like this quite a bit, actually. Looks like fun.
Mm-hmm. And I think the difference, because John, you and I have workshopped how do we get big battle group Hazaroth to tee off with his minimum viable invocation of dust. And I think the failure point in a lot of the lists were either the Jacks were over supported with too many Seeker adepts, or the infantry was over supported with too many support solos. And we're like, how do we manage the Jacks having Pathfinder and all this stuff? I feel like this is hitting a real golden mean, and just everything's getting exactly what it needs and nothing more. And we're sort of hitting overwhelming volume.
Now, what do you think about Magnus versus Nastilla in this list?
I think you put Magnus on the payload and he walks it up the board, and then Hazaroth goes and plays in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what he's going to do. He's going to sit on a flank, he's going to hold that flank, and he just creates a wonderful 13-inch zone of no, don't come here. You're not going to like what's going to happen.
Or there's
an
alternative
potential a lot.
There's also an alternative version where you're looking at a scenario like Wolves at Our Heels, which is sort of the quintessential 50s in the middle, and you need units to commit to the side. One, you have both the Spectre and Invictus, who are great in playing on sides where they're difficult to counteract. But you can like, it's an opportunity for Hazaroth to switch play styles on a game-by-game basis, where he doesn't necessarily need to lead with Stay Death. He can lead with, okay, here's 3 11 or 12 point heavies that are stealth and, threat range 11 inches and, can shoot and all this stuff in the middle of the board. And you have to contend with this before you even begin to expose either my Super Junior or my pseudo weapon master infantry. The army doesn't have to rely on the same strategy game over game. And what I really like about this list is it's very scenario adaptable. Even if you hit something like best laid plans and the 50s disappear versus the 40s disappear, this army has the capability to turn that plan on a dime, and just go, oh, the 40s disappeared. The cavalry are going to tangle in the front and make you take a bunch of spring blade attacks and waste a bunch of attacks attacking them, and Haz can maybe revive them if he racked it, etc., etc. Essentially, you have to churn through this cavalry before the battle group, which is going to be the score winners, gets involved. And even if you dick down the battle group, Invictus comes in and cleans up the game. Alternatively, if the 50s disappear, oh, okay, all 3 of my Eidolons are going off to tangle on the 40 millimeter side where most of the points are. And before you want to win, even have a chance of scoring meaningfully, you have to get through 96 hit points, potentially as much as 188 hit points with feet, before the models that I'm going to use to score this in a meaningful way even have to commit. And you can run these iterations like scenario by scenario. And I think this list is unlocking the true mode switch play style.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting. I just don't know how comfortable I will be playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Got no reps with anything like this.
But you can get it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I think just going back to like top level rather than list specific, how many months are we in? Like 4 months of people telling you, yeah, Hazaroth isn't really viable. And you're going to tournaments, you're going to local game nights, and having this experience of, okay, I mostly clock, or I play unsafe with my caster, or I undercommit. All 3 of these are solvable problems. They're either rep solvable, general experience solvable, or cautiousness solvable. What this indicates is, none of these being loss conditions indicates that you're onto something that's directionally correct. Even if you're not there yet procedurally, we haven't seen any major metagame or game signals that betting on Hazaroth is wrong. In fact, every suggestion is Hazaroth pulls ahead very easily, and it's just a proficiency issue.
Correct. Yeah,
he
just feels so
fans
good
of psychology. For fans of psychology, the Myers-Briggs test is kind of superstition, and it has issues where its results don't replicate, but it's directionally correct. It's the kind of correct where is it true at a literal level? Not necessarily, but is the implication of this that you should probably follow the hints and see where it leads? Yeah, sure.
I kind of like this list. What I like most about it is it has 3 Eidolons in it, and Everybody has told me Eidolons are unplayable. The only thing worse than Eidolons is gas.
Yeah,
So-
they're wrong. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's cool to be wrong,
It's-
but they're wrong.
It's 3 Eidolons and 5 cohort models. This is, I mean, I didn't think we would do it, but I think we cracked the formula here on air. I mean, I think this is the holy grail you and I have been dojoing after for like months and months.
Yeah. I mean, we could also swap a cab out for Slayers and another sniper team, which I don't hate.
I think if you make that change, you probably want to turn Magnus and Invictus into Nostilla, just to really, really, really ensure that Cav unit sticks around. And like you've always got to be repositioning. You've always got to be repositioning one guy as far back forward and running Slayers to make sure he's got shield guards, and have the revives on tap and have the stay deaths on tap. It commits you very hard to protect that unit of Cav in situations where your mode switch is fronting with Cav rather than fronting with Jax.
Do you think Nostilla is going to be better in this list than Magnus? I want to talk about this for a second.
In this list,
I think
no.
I think if you switch Cav to Slayers and a second sniper team, yes, Nostilla will be better. In double Cav, Magnus is significantly better here.
Okay. Is there any consideration we should give to Big Pig? I haven't looked at him in a while. I kind of want to look at him.
Oh boy. I mean, I think if we were gonna, I mean, I touched on this in my mango or pineapple discussion in Helith. Big Pig is your strawberry. Or rather, Helith, you're looking at mango or pineapple, Nostilla or Magnus. Big Pig, you're looking at chocolate. It's a big change to the flavor profile, and you have to reconsider a lot of other elements. But he's good there. Is he good with Hazaroth? A year ago, I would have said yes. This year, probably no.
Yeah. Like I said, it was just something I wanted to think about. This is actually a pretty interesting list. I actually kind of want another Eidolon too for the Spectre. I don't hate the idea
Where do
of
we
that.
find the 1 point here?
It's pretty tough.
Nah,
yeah,
Spectre, I'm telling you, keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one place we find the 1 point is cutting the Void Shaper and upgrading somebody to a momentum cannon.
Mhm.
But and this is something we've dickered about in the past. I don't necessarily feel great about the Jax having no Pathfinder other than Hazrak and Ghostwalk.
That is an issue. All right, let's talk about careful reconnaissance. We definitely want.
Yep.
Duck and cover. We definitely want. Hit and run. I don't need. Lucky Penny. I want. Old Faithful. Probably don't need because I have my feet.
You probably do, and I'll give you a couple. I think actually the default command card layout was the perfect layout. One, because you have so many battle group models, incidentally just shoving one of them out of the way, or I need to manage. Oh, put the fires out. God damn. Because we're protecting Dreadguard cavalry, that's actually indispensable.
And then I think I may want defenses.
You could do. I'll just give the case for hit and run. One, shoving a battle group model, it can be very beneficial, although defenses is probably better. The other is you have no way to repair Invictus without Old Faithful. But you also have a Void Shaper, and Invictus should mostly be staying out of harm's way until it's game-winning time. So, I think you're actually right here.
Maybe. You think hit and run or defenses?
Probably defenses, actually, honestly. Yeah, just throw yourself. You don't have any open fists in the list, do you?
Yeah, they all have open fists. Every
Yeah.
Eidolon has an open fist.
Yeah, probably wall powder keg then.
Okay, let's check
Because
that.
powder
But
keg is.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh
they
yeah,
have-
yeah,
they have-
yeah. Oh yeah, and the Spectre has an open fist too. He's probably the. Oh no, he doesn't.
He
He
does.
does
Well,
not.
anyways, you essentially have 3 models that give you pseudo sapper if you deploy your powder keg correctly. So,
Yep.
Oh, does Invictus have an open? No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
I don't believe he does. No,
He got
Actually, he
big.
might.
I don't
he
think
actually
so.
might. Let's take a look.
No.
Does
No,
not.
he's got a saw and a flail. By
He's
the way,
doing something with that hand.
something to watch out for. Defenses are pseudo sapper because the pick a defense within 10 inches ability on the powder keg is so good if you can sacrifice an activation to it. Take some extra toilet time to like look through your war room app and figure out what warrior models have an open fist. There's a surprising number of them, and things like the Man-O-War controller or Bosun Grog Spar can pick up a powder keg and say, that defense doesn't exist anymore.
That is silly. I approve. This is actually a pretty interesting list. The only thing I think it's missing is the Mage Hunter Commander and some unit of shield guards. Although I guess if I'm casting Shadowmancer more often, Hazaroth will have stealth, which is something.
Yeah, you're just going to be playing really different in this.
Yeah.
And because your only invocation or your primary invocation targets are your cavalry, essentially all focus that you allocate to invocation is going to those 6 models. It lets you have a lot more control over how much invocation focus you need, and it's probably a lot less because it's chasing fewer meaningful models. Like, this is almost like a balanced Hazaroth list where you have 2 plans and you don't have to play either one as your primary plan unless you feel like it. Like, you actually get to pick. But I think this list is fire.
I like it. Do we rack revive? I feel like no.
You might.
You don't have to, but you certainly can. And I think you probably would choose to in games where your opponent's playing things that are hunting your cavalry through tough or invocation.
I suppose.
I mean, it's like like we said at the start, very few lists bring both RFP and grievous wounds in any sort of mass way. So you just get to look at your opponent's list and say, oh, you brought grievous wounds. I'm going to bring revive. Oh, you brought RFP. I'm going to bring other stuff instead and play a little like and just make you eat through stay death.
Yep. Yeah, IR Cav with stay death are real problem children.
That's real dumb.
It's real good. I'm not gonna lie. It's real good.
All right,
other thing
Hazaroth fans, we cracked the code.
I like
Well,
it.
we built an interesting list.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's any good. I'll have to play it some.
Hey, you gotta play it. How about
It
not
looks
play
good.
it?
Well, actually, I actually got all my models assembled and mailed out to be painted. So I don't have any models to play with right now. Should have them back in a couple weeks though. So there's that.
So I've always been too plebeian to pay someone to paint my models, but all my like model commissioning friends are like, no, I just buy the models and then have them shipped to my painter's house. I'm kind of surprised you even build your own models at this point.
Well, remember, most of my models came from other players. I only played Dusk.
Oh, that's right.
Because
you're
there was
on,
2 Dusk
second
armies for
hand
sale.
collection.
And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just play Dust to start with because they're models for sale. And, it's kind of hard to get models.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to be able to play. So I'll just play Dusk. Plus, I took one look at Hazaroth and I knew he was going to be a caster that I would enjoy. So,
Good.
It took me like 4 seconds to identify that. As soon as I saw Invocation, I was like, yeah, okay, so I'm playing him. What else am I playing? Yeah.
Old-timey Harbinger and Testament player rediscovers Harbinger and Testament fused together.
Yeah, right? Like that wasn't going to happen. Actually, what I really hope Hazaroth continues to have a terrible win rate and they buff him in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they made Invocation his
sure.
control range instead of 10 inches, that'd be okay with me.
You're positioning yourself essentially to benefit from Sturgeon's Law. Sturgeon's Law being 90% of every medium is crap. This applies to players too. There are some models that are very, very good because they have very, very, very low skill floors. Like, it's easy to screw up badly with these casters, and they'll post ridiculously low win rates despite having very high ceilings. Because most, like 90% of players aren't good. And,
That's true.
and there's also an internal clustering effect where good players tend to gravitate toward what is proven and demonstrated to have value. And
also, I'm a proud member of the 90%. I'm just saying. One thing I do want to say really quick. I think we've proven we can go real long on these episodes if we want to. So look, guys, if we can get to 500 subscriptions, and a lot of you, I look at the stats every week, a lot of you watch and have not subscribed for some reason. If you watch the show, if you subscribe, if we get to 500 subscriptions, I will add a third hour to the show every week. And it will go an hour later, so it'll make it a little easier on your West Coast people. So, rally them up and get them going. Do you want to do the math thing really quick? We have 10 minutes. Or do you want to do a Hazaroth...
I'm inclined to defer on the math segment. Dude,
it really is written. I'm not kidding, guys. We have written a segment on math. Actually, Alex has.
No, I wrote this about a month ago. We write episode outlines like a few days in advance, and we solicit feedback, and we're going back and forth and adding bullet points and like points of nuance. The dice math section I wrote up is like I've inserted it at the tail end as a player improvement segment to a bunch of episodes, and every time it's 3 times longer than the main outline. So, John, I may hit you up just as doing a solo recording on Quick and Dirty War Machine Dice Math, just as a pre-record for the channel.
Yeah, we can do it, or we can make it because I think it'll be good as a discussion. I tend to find that when we have people like Chris on to ask questions or participation from the chat, that it can be really strong for fleshing those ideas out and making sure that the points get put across really well. But I don't mind that at all. Chris, do you have anything you want to talk about? I mean, we've been talking about my lists for 2 hours.
I was going to say, let's for new player improvement, Chris, what do you see as like, out of the things we haven't talked about yet, what's the lowest hanging fruit for players who are aspirationally looking at getting into tournaments or next leveling their game? What's the low hanging fruit that's going to pay dividends that we can kick around?
I'm going to take someone who has already gotten their teeth kicked in and are probably playing, once we get to War Machine Nirvana's on our road to enlightenment. One of the things you're going to start first doing is that this is awesome and I can do everything, and then Hazaroth is going to die to fire. So we're going to go a couple of steps beyond that. Now Hazaroth is playing a little too far back. John, you're not committing enough. One of the mental things that I've explained to a few people is that this is a war game and models are going to die. They're going to be removed from the board. That's okay. You want this to happen because you're going to get a chance to do that to your opponent too. So this is about committing a little bit more to scenario, not knowing what you need to put up and just figuring out what you need to put up into a scenario, like what you're going to get, from positioning different models, where you're going to position them. And when I say what are you going to get, I'm talking about what are you going to get in terms of board position, what are you going to get in terms of your opponent's commitment to remove them, and what are you going to get in terms of points. Like, the points are the easiest one. The easiest one to say. It's like, I put a cohort model on this 50 mil right now, I will score 1 point at the end of the turn. Don't have to think too much more about it, aside from, well, maybe I don't want to do that because then my caster dies. Something like that. But the first thing, like the thing that you want to really focus on, is being a little bit more aggressive. Get into the zone. And I don't mean like mental zone, I mean physical zone. Get into the zone of the objectives with more things than you think you might need. Make your opponent commit to removing them. There have been games that I've won where my opponent removed, like John, to your point, oh, I was way ahead on attrition. I was like, but I was ahead on clock and 3 points above you. So thank you for killing 95 points of my army. I still won because you still didn't have quite enough juice, enough gas in the tank to get to that 97 points you needed to swing the scenario back towards you. Just getting familiar with those moments. Be a little bit more bold, be a little bit more aggressive. Rely on your opponent to have to throw some dice at the problem. Sometimes, you will get to a point where you don't want to throw dice at a problem, but you don't want to have your opponent do it, because there are chances that they can very well succeed and just totally floor your strategy. But more often than not, you're going to find that when you force your opponent to throw a lot of dice at the problem, they don't always come up with what they need. They often don't come up with exactly what they need or better. So that puts you in a commanding board state that you then get to capitalize on.
Let me
Oh, go ahead, John, please.
I would just want to build on that point really quick, because I did really well early when I didn't know what I was doing. I won a lot of games by just face planting into stuff and being aggressive on scenario. I got cagier, and then I lost like 3 games where I failed to clear my zone because I had cascading dice failures. And I was just like, okay, so what did we learn? One of the lessons I learned is exactly what you're talking about, which is I had gotten cagier and better at denying the opportunity for my opponent to hurt me, and set up a situation where I just needed to clear my side of the board, and then I'm fine on scenario, and got behind because I failed to do it in 3 games, basically all on the same weekend. That weekend that I was in Portland, that happened to me 3 times, where I had terrible dice for a turn and failed to kill like 4 models. And then I just lost on scenario because I didn't have any time wasters in the list, didn't have any meaningful way to get onto my opponent's side of the board, because I was playing too conservatively and too cagey, which weirdly, as I got more experienced, I got worse at the game, which is typical.
It's a continuum. It's not just a linear progression to better. You're after you watch your army blow up a couple of times and it went badly for you, the natural reaction is to pull it back in and be more conservative, and that's fine. But now you've done that, and now you're seeing the negative consequences of that too. That can be equally as bad or worse. So now is the time where it's like, well, what's the equilibrium between the two of those?
Yeah, it's a Wittgenstein's ladder of War Machine play problems. The classic advice, I think time turns as old heads is just like a boogeyman we break out to scare newbies every now and again. Like, instead of death clock, you have 7 minutes. And nobody quite believes you, and nobody takes it seriously. But you do have to optimize your turn to go quickly and go effectively. And one of these is a tendency to get over aggressive. It takes you very little time to make your crucial attacks, and then just plant your entire army in your opponent's face and say, okay, it's your opportunity to F this up. If you fail to respond to the most needful threats, you're going to lose. And I'm making the time responsible decision here by foisting it on you. Players have a tendency in their development to get oh, very early on, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to trounce forward and develop my model's position. Oh no, I was in threat range and I got rolled over. Now I'm going to get much more conservative and much more cautious, and I'm going to pay the price of losing on scenario very quickly or losing on clock, attempting to protect myself in a conservative position. And the problem is they opt to take the punishment that doesn't wrap their knuckles right away. Versus, if you try and take the slow play under a time turn situation, attempting to be overcautious wraps your knuckles right away. Under Death Clock, the punishment is paid way later, and you won't necessarily draw the correlation to it. Even experienced players can see somebody play overly cautious and just victimize them by going, oh, okay, I see you planned around my charge distances. I'm just going to run all my models at you, and you're meaningfully outside the zone for the rest of the next round and a half. What are you going to do?
I'm guilty of doing that exact thing to someone I saw playing slowly. Just look at the clock. I'm like, hey, it's turn 2, and I have 45 minutes on my clock, and you have 25. Here's my army. Just throw the entire thing out. Not even caring about where anything is. Took a 30-second turn. Just shuffleboard queue everything up. And it was a clock situation. Easy. That was an easy win.
Yeah.
You know what I find
it's not necessarily about what buys you the easy win. It's about what's going to teach somebody to play in multiple dimensions. Because if you're playing on Death Clock forever, it's very easy for you to get into the mode of respecting threat ranges versus learning to say, clock or no, here's my army. Deal with this because you're sacrificing board state.
One thing I find really interesting about the list that we built tonight for Dusk is both lists are extremely good at shoving it forward and being aggressive. Both lists can play very aggressively if I want to.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, because I mean, it may not be as obvious for Hazard. Obviously, with Invocation and Cats, I mean that's clearly can be very aggressive and you can not take nearly as much punishment as you think you're going to take or as your opponent believes they're going to do. But also, if I put, Invictus and 3 Eidolons in your face, you better hope you really wipe all that out. And whatever damage you do to the Eidolons, I'm going to feed away on the next turn and reset it. And I don't have to put Invictus in. I can save him till later. Probably better to do so. But if I put Cats and Eidolons and a Spectre in your face, you're not going to make near as much headway as you think, in my opinion. It's just not going to happen.
Well, this is the thing that you and I have been talking about Hazaroth forever is mode switch. Mode switch is an under-considered topic. A lot of people think, oh yeah, what my army does is charge 15 inches and deal POW 19 over, 5 attacks.
And what do you do when that doesn't work?
Yeah, what do you do when that doesn't work? Having a caster that can mode switch, and not just mode switch between like, oh yeah, charge 15 inches and do POW 19s, like, or hang back and shoot you, or shove my entire army in your face and consolidate ground and score out on scenario because the front line is too difficult. There's a bunch of modalities of ways of playing, and people tend to fixate on what's most obvious or most salient. And when you have, especially because Mark IV has kind of like capped defensive and offensive numbers top and bottom, you're not necessarily incentivized to commit super hard to any plan. So what you're incentivized to do is actually develop flexibility and have the ability to say, I'm going to play the game this way. Oh, you've responded appropriately. Well, I'm going to play the game this way. Oh, did you fail to respond appropriately to this new avenue of play? Guess I win.
Love it. Love it. Man, what a great episode tonight. I just wanted to thank everybody for hanging out with us. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for helping me flesh out these lists. I think I probably would have got close anyway, eventually, but you guys really sped up the process and helped me think through some things. And I think we ended up in a good spot on both lists that I feel pretty, not gonna lie, I feel pretty cool. I feel like my lists are pretty cool. I don't know what else to say about it.
feel just as much apotheosis as you do for like back and forth for months, like brainstorming how do we get Hazaroth to this paradigm. Like, oh my god, we cracked it. Oh my god, we cracked it.
Well, I feel quite good
I'm
about
looking forward to seeing that on the tables at Nova. Go take the entire event.
Yeah, no,
I
I hopefully will get my models back so I start getting reps. Maybe I should learn how to play on what's it called? War Table? Yeah, War Table. I need to learn how to play.
Join us.
Learn how to play on War Table so I, maybe join a league. Tyrants.
Yeah,
maybe
let me do that. I'm sure. Yeah.
I think the next North American one begins on Thursday.
Yep.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thursday's Fantastic Four night.
Like
you have all week to schedule the game, John. Even if you're not in the league, let's get a game this weekend. We're both free. Like, let's see how it goes.
I would like. Well, hold on. Time out. Let me rewind for a second. I can't promise this weekend. Today is my anniversary. Okay, my wife and I got married 3 years ago. Today is our anniversary. This weekend,
which means Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is 100% wife time.
Well, maybe not 100%. I might be able to get away with a game. We'll see. But I can't promise anything because I'm literally streaming on my anniversary, right? Like we should be out to dinner doing a nice meal or something, but I'm not that smart. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. I'll just schedule it for Tuesday nights. What possible harm could come from this? And so, thank you, Steven. I appreciate that. But so anyway, we are going out of town this weekend. And we have like an Airbnb, which is actually, I found this really awesome Airbnb, which has got this like giant theater. My wife and I love to watch movies. It's got this giant, like 120-inch theater room with surround sound in it. And then it's got a pool so we can swim. We love to take our 9-month-old swimming because she just loves it. So we'll be able to like watch movies and swim and connect and have a great time. I'm super pumped about it. But again, that just brings me back to like, I can't like, yeah,
all
let's
right.
play let's play. Matter of fact, I should probably play a steamroller this weekend, right? That would be like something dumb that John would do, like 100%. So I've like grown a little older, a little wiser. But you notice it took me a minute to like remember that it was my anniversary this weekend. I was like all ready to be like, oh yeah, we can play like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
All right, maybe
chat.
join the league and play next week, John.
We'll see.
Chat, this has been John Damaris Presents Lifetime Classic Movies. Thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, awesome. I love you guys. We'll see y'all soon. Don't forget to subscribe so we can get our 3rd hour. Because I know.
Oh yeah, 3rd hour. We can keep talking for ages. All right, thanks all.
All right, peace and love.